You are listening to the Choose Your Struggle podcast, a member of the Shameless Podcast Network. Enjoying the podcast? Consider supporting it on Patreon. You'll get behind-the-scenes looks, sneak peeks, extra bonus content, and best of all, a way to interact with me, your host. You'll also get discounts on merch like tank tops and magnets, and all the other services I provide, like booking me to speak, coach or consult, or even advertise here on the podcast. Check it out in the show notes or in patreon.com/chooseyourstruggle. Plans start at as little as $3.40 a month, and all the money goes right into the podcast. All right, let's get back to the show.
Choose your struggle. Choose your struggle. Spread love. Choose your struggle.
Hello and welcome to a very special Monday Motivation episode of the Choose Your Struggle podcast. This week I'm doing something a little different. It's a listener request. Yes, for those of you who are like, I didn't know he did that. I do. So if you have requests, reach out. As I said on Friday's episode, I am actually looking for people to reach out for me to pick their brains on the podcast right now. So reach out for that too. But also, if you have ideas, I want to hear from you about like specific shows. Like that's an awesome thing to message me over. But before we get into that, once again, I want to give a shout out to Late to the Game, the podcast that I've been working with. Let me read you their synopsis. I didn't do this last time because I wanted to talk about it more, but let me read you their synopsis. What if you could re-experience certain books or TV series you've already read and watched like it was the first time? It's a fun thought, but until someone invents memory editing, you're pretty much out of luck. The only option is to live vicariously through others, which is why there's Late to the Game. Late to the Game is a podcast featuring two incredible hosts, who one of which is new to the world of George R.R. Martin. The other one is a veteran who loves both the book and the show. Together they explore and experience the grim, treacherous, political, intrigue-filled world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Chapter by chapter, they analyze nearly every single detail that transpires along the way. They hope to entertain and remind everybody just what this series became so popular, just why this series became so popular. So prepare yourself, for banter is coming. As I said on last week's show, I love Game of Thrones and I love this podcast. So definitely check out Late to the Game and thank me later. This is brought to you or thanks to a listener by the name of Jeremy M, who reached out on Instagram, who had a question, and he said, what does working with a mental health coach look like? Great question, Jeremy. So that's a wonderful jumping off point for me, because as someone who, the podcast is like a lot of fun for me, and it obviously impacts so many people's lives. I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful for all of you who are listening. But that's not like, it's not really my job, quote unquote, the other stuff is the job, right? I mean, the speaking, the consulting and the coaching, like those are how I actually make money. And obviously it's been a little tough recently because of the pandemic. But coaching has allowed me to continue to help people and to continue making some money as well. So definitely a great jumping off point. Happy to talk about that. So what does working with a mental health coach look like? I've used this analogy before, but I'm going to use it again because I think it's the best one. Imagine you went to your doctor and you said, hey, doc, what should I lift tonight? Now, 99 out of 100 of those doctors are going to be like, I have no fucking idea, right? They're going to be like confused why you would come to them with that question. Now, if you went to your physical therapist or your trainer, it's a better way to say that, and said, hey, my spleen is hurting, they're going to be like, cool, go to a doctor, That's the relationship between a mental health coach and a therapist. If you go to your therapist and you're spending all of your time focusing on things like mindfulness, on sort of surface level issues of your mental health, no offense, but you're wasting your time. And a good therapist will hopefully help you dig a little deeper than that. I and other mental health coaches are your personal trainers for your mental health. A lot of what I do is work with people who they're happy, they're fine, but they could do a little better when it comes to things like mindfulness, like day-to-day mental health issues. I also, personally work with a lot of people who are either fresh into recovery or are currently struggling. The last two in that category that I've worked with are people who recently overdosed and sort of it was time for them to take a new step, and that's how we got connected. So that's a very specific category of people that I work with. If you're listening to this and that describes you, describes somebody that reach out. That's more of a pressing one because what we want to avoid is another overdose, obviously. And sometimes those were freak occurrences. Other times the use has grown so unhealthy that really some sort of a change needs to happen ASAP. So that's not really a service that a lot of places offer because a lot of our recovery or rehab community, specifically the places that are like institutions for that, are going to focus only on immediately withdrawal and getting people off of the whatever the substance is. Those of us who do this work can do so a little differently in the sense of, let's talk about your use. Let's figure out what's going on there. Maybe in the first step is just helping you use more safely. And then we can work on sort of a long-term solution that looks very different depending on who you are. Now, I know for some of you, this is really challenging you. Of course, your first thought is, well, you got to get them off all the drugs. No, that's not the case for everybody. That is for some people, but not for everybody. So, again, if that is something that you're not interested is the wrong word, but if that really is what's speaking to you, please reach out. Let's have a conversation immediately. Now, if you're someone who's just like, I see a therapist, but we focus on really deep issues and we don't really talk about surface level stuff, that's wonderful. You're in a really good spot. Those of us who do this work are going to work on things like, as I talk about all the time, mindfulness, like adding specific practices to your day to really improve your mood, to sort of take what you're working on with your therapist and make sure that you're instituting that into your day, right? So you see your therapist maybe once a month. If you're lucky, it could be once a week, but you're digging through these deep issues, right? You're digging down into the dirt to see what's down there and to dig up some of the weeds in your garden. Well, someone else needs to come in and help you clear out the topsoil and replant, right? Really clear away and understand how to help those new flowers grow. That's what a good mental health therapist will do. Now, what does working with me look like? It's different for every person. There are a couple set parameters. Number one, the first session is always free. Always. I do that because, quite honestly, I'm not the right fit for everybody. And, it doesn't help me to work with clients who I'm not a good fit with. It's not going to go well, and you're not going to leave happy. And that doesn't help either one of us, right? So I want to make sure that we're a good fit. I want to make sure that you and I have aligned goals. So the first session is always free. Then we will set up a 5-session package. And I start with 5 sessions because I want there to be a check-in point. And, 1 or 2 sessions is not going to be enough. Doesn't matter who you are, not going to be enough to really achieve deliverables. Once you get over that and we really settle in, the first sessions, it takes a minute to sort of get into this rhythm. I want to make sure it's far enough downfield that gives us a chance to really hit some goals. So that's why 5 is the first one. After that, we can choose to keep working together. I've had a couple clients who, after 5 sessions, they're good. They've hit the point where they want to be. And one of them came back to me 3 months later and was like, let's do another one. A couple others have done 5, and that's it. They're good. And I'm really happy for those people. Others, we hit that 5th session and they go, great, let's set up another package. And then after that, it really comes down to, what are we looking for? And that's more of a person by person approach. Some people want to sign for another 5. Others are like, let's do sort of lesson to lesson, or session to session, I should say. And we do a couple more and they're good. So it really depends on the person. And, it really, the goal of this is to be person centered, right? If you ever find a coach or someone working in this space who's like, here is my methods, you have to agree to this, run the other direction, because that's not about you, that's about them. The goal of this, the right people, the right person, the person who really is going to be the right person for you, is going to make this all about you, not about them. So they may have parameters like mine, where it's like, we're going to do this many sessions, but they won't have a playbook. They won't have you have to hit these notes, because that's about their ideas. That's not about actually helping you achieve your goals. So that's why I do it the way I do it. I do have things that I want to work on, but those come second, right? If you have ideas that are better, wonderful. We're going to do that first. If there's specific things you want to work on. If not, I have questions the first time that will sort of help us jump off. And then there are particular points that I would like to hit, but they're not absolute musts, like following some laid out course. Because again, you might not be ready for that, or you might be way beyond that. And so it doesn't help you if we stick to my playbook or whatever, if you're well beyond that. So that's what that actually looks like. Now for those who do wonder, what qualifications, I get asked that a lot. Those can be found on my LinkedIn. There are a lot of them. I've picked up tips and tricks along the way, and worked with a lot of incredible people to develop this mental health coaching work that I do. I don't want to spend the next 5 minutes reading off all of these. I did some of it, like half of my qualifications for the listenable course that I talked about that's coming out in March. And it took me so long. I was like, that was the most boring thing. No one's going to enjoy that. No one is going to be like, oh, good. I'm so glad he read all 7 of those. And then I realized, like, I could have done another 5 or 6. I was like, this is dumb. I'm not going to do that again. So sorry if you really wanted a full list of all of the courses I've taken. You can find that on my LinkedIn. And obviously, if you email me and you're like, I'm interested, but I want to see those, I'll happily send them along. But I'm not going to read them off here. So if you want to work with me, or if you want to learn more, like, I will not promise to work with you. I may, meet with you and go, I think that somebody else would be better, and I'll make some recommendations. If you're interested in learning more, or maybe working with me, reach out through my website, jayshifman.com, JAYSHIFMAN.com. There's a coaching, button you can hit. Thank you, Jeremy M. This was a great idea to talk about this, because I haven't done that before, and it makes me happy that people want to hear things. So thank you for reaching out. Others, if you have ideas, please do so. And above all else, have a great week and choose your struggle.